Hi guys!
Hello!
How are we all today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Welcome back to the C-Pod. Yeah, so today we are recording an episode on friends and family. And our aim for this episode is really to discuss our own personal experiences, how our friends coped, reacted, did our friendship groups change, did our opinions change, but also maybe advice for friends and family. And that's a really difficult one because I know that my advice, I feel like I'm not even qualified to give advice, really.
No.
For me, it's just if friends and family have good intentions and they try, then that's all they can do, really. But we're just trying to raise a few opinions, a few points, guides in the right direction, maybe that will help friends and family that know someone that's going through cancer now, and it can be an aid for them because they know how to be now.
Yeah, and as well, like you said, because I also feel the same in the sense that I don't feel like I have a voice to give an opinion on this because I guess we were the ones going through it. But for that matter, we will be having one of Beth's friends and another lady who is going through cancer.
Yeah.
But she's also...
She goes by the name boweltastic on Instagram.
Yes,
so
very cool girl.
yeah, she's really vocal. I love it. She's gained a voice since she's been diagnosed, and she was recently diagnosed as well. And she'll tell us much more about her story and the position she is in, and it'll be really good to get a different perspective, from friends and from those that are actually going through it.
Yeah.
So should we get
Let's crack on.
Yeah, let's crack in. Leanne, let's just kick it off.
Spotlight on me.
How did your friends and family react? And I know we've done a Talk Friday question on this, and if you don't know what Talk Friday is, head over to our Instagram, and every Friday we post a question and give a chance for you to reply, give your opinion. So how did your friends and family react?
Very well, actually. I say that. However, I don't personally know because I think it was almost like a front. When they saw me, they were obviously shocked, and I knew they were shocked because it was almost like they didn't know what to say. And I guess in a situation like that, there's nothing you can say to make it feel better, make you feel better rather. There is nothing, no matter how people, no matter how many times people say be positive or you've got this girl and all that. There's just no way. And for my family and my friends, I think I am one of the first, especially with my friends, I'm definitely one of the first of our age to get cancer. So when I did tell them, it was an automatic no, you're lying. I know. Not with my family as such, but my friends.
They didn't really know how to react because there isn't a go-to because they're not used to hearing news like that.
Exactly. And straight away they were ringing me up, asking me almost like if it was true, and when I said yes, it was almost as if they didn't know what to say. But eventually when they did come to terms with it, they were, because I was obviously admitted into hospital straight away, they were all up the hospital. They were
that's nice
amazing. The support I couldn't have asked for, and with my family as well, I couldn't have asked for a better support network.
Like I just mentioned just briefly at the start, if friends and family try, people don't know the right way to handle it, people just don't know what the go-to thing is, and even for us too, I think it's still difficult to say because everyone reacts differently. Even just slightly off topic, when back when we were diagnosed, I kept it so private, and if you look at my Instagram, I literally disappeared off the face of the earth for 4 months and posted flowers and nails, but whereas you see now influencers embracing it, which is amazing, but that in itself shows how people that are diagnosed react differently. So friends and family are going to react differently. So but it shows that your friends and family were just there for you and tried their hardest. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think the difficult thing for my friendships, it was definitely affected. I mean, at the very beginning of my diagnosis, everyone was incredible, and I appreciate it. I still to this day appreciate everything that's been done. However, I think because, as people will know, my treatment is in 2 parts, and when you go on to maintenance, which is oral chemotherapy, you kind of not get your life back, but you slowly can do things that you weren't
with cancer.
So I think when it got to that stage, a few people kind of didn't understand that and assumed that, okay, you're done now, amazing, let's go back out and do this, let's do that. When actually I was still consuming chemotherapy. I was still very ill.
Yeah.
It didn't work like that.
You don't just snap back.
No,
like,
no.
Here I
I'm
am.
here. Yeah. So I think that's what people kind of thought that would happen, and obviously it didn't. I mean, the chemotherapy that I was still having had a dramatic effect on me to the point where they figured I relapsed. I didn't, but because it was still having that effect on me. And I think at that point, a few of my friends kind of got annoyed that I couldn't go out because I was neutropenic, and then, you know, they just didn't understand, but they weren't willing to understand. So, you know, I drifted away from some, but I think that happens with a lot of cancer patients.
Yeah.
It's very common.
And also, I think your life changed, and it inevitably does change. Even if you are able and relatively fit, like, your life has changed now because something dramatic has happened. And those friends were expecting you to bounce back and act as if it never did happen.
Yeah.
So I think it was inevitable, really. Like, even if physically you couldn't go out and do all of these things, you might not want to have done those things because your life has just taken a flip.
And you just don't have the energy. Like, it takes months and months. I've still not recovered from today. Like, from, you know, so it's very, it's difficult. But I think all of these things happen for a reason. I think if they're meant to be in your life, then they will be. Yeah. And it's a lesson, and I actually think it's a great lesson to learn because it shows who's true, who's not. Yeah, so how did your friends and family react to your diagnosis and your just overall experience?
When I was actually diagnosed, like, in the room, my parents were obviously weak and animalistic. It was awful. But they hid it quite well from me because obviously I understand that now I'm a bit older. I understand if I was a parent, I would want to keep so strong because if I'm not strong, how can my child keep strong? Like, it's just not a good impression. And I'm not saying that parents shouldn't show any weakness, but I understand where my parents were coming from. Yeah. My friends were devastated, and their response was to pull together and do some strong and amazing things. And we'll get one of my friends on, it makes me smile, one of my friends on to chat in a bit. But my friend Katherine, who will come on, she used to come up, knock on the door without any warning. So I still have to, like, grab a wig or a hat or something.
It's their pride.
Yeah, I know. I was like, quick! And she used to come with, like, my favourite things. So she'd go to Costa and get, like, a nice drink, or she'd bring some snacks around and a film.
That's adorable.
And one time she brought, like, a box of just things, and I think her mum helped her create it. Like, it had, like, a scarf in and some DVDs and just cute things. And she, like, knocked on the door and was like, "How are you?" And I was just, like, rough. But on the outside I was like, "Yeah, absolutely fine." And she was like, "Cool, I'll come in. Let's just chill." Like, no pressure. And that was just amazing. And my other, just had unbelievable friends. I feel like I'm just not going to do them justice because someone's going to be, like, missed out somewhere. But
it's hard, yeah.
A couple of my other close friends were amazing, so understanding, didn't put any pressure on me, and they all clubbed together. And, oh God, it makes me cringe thinking about it. But they clubbed together and formed Beth's Army.
I remember that being
oh,
on
God.
That's adorable. You should hear this story. It's the cutest thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God. It was, I still to this day, I forget it happened. It's mind-blowing. Basically, my closest friends, about 4 of them, had the idea, okay, we need to show our love, support some way, because I was quite closed off, and I feel like they wanted to reach out and didn't really know the right way, and they were kind of stepping on eggshells, and I was quite disconnected. And they clubbed together and did a race for life, but they kept it secret and they kept it on the down low. I didn't know about it, and they told other girls who told other girls to create an army, and they all set up their own fundraising page. Yeah. And when you click on Beth's Army on the Just Giving page, it had everyone's name split down, like Soldier 1, Soldier 2, and Soldier 1 was like Katherine, Soldier 2 Charlotte, Soldier 3 Eve, etc, etc, etc. And Beth's Army ended up being about 30 girls from my school, another school in the town.
Someone's so popular over here.
No, not at all. I turned up and was like, "Are these all my friends?
Do I recognise you?
Is this for me?
Do you even go here?"
I looked over my shoulder and was like, "Oh, it's lovely for whoever you've done it for." Yeah. But yeah, so it was basically like obviously a lot of my school knew and a lot of the town knew and other schools, so lots of girls like clubbed in and actually ran and did a whole sponsor page for me. Lots of other people really touched by it too who actually donated. And then on the day I turned up in London and my mum told me like I had to help out at a stall, at like a charity stall as a volunteer at like 7 a.m. and I was like, what have you signed me up for? Turned up at the Olympic Park in London and my mum was like, run, you're late. And I was like, but I'm volunteering, it's fine. And I just ran up the hill and I got over the hill and it was all like 30 girls in pink with a massive banner like Beth's Army. Aww. And like pictures on there and like colouring, drawings, and
that's
amazing.
Adorable.
And like there was cameras out because like a lot of their parents came too, and I literally I look at the pictures and I'm so ill. I look a bit like a heifer lump, but still like I was very, very ill, and even mentally I was quite I was suffering mentally in terms of I saw it and the me now would be like, oh my god, thank you guys, and hug them. But I was almost like, this is amazing, but I can't show it, like, don't look at me, don't hug me. And everyone came to hug me and I was just like, ugh. And I just was like,
is it awkward because did you also feel like you didn't want the attention on you, and it was because of the relation of the reason why they were there, because of cancer, and
it was more like I was semi ashamed of who I was then, like in terms of physically and stuff. Like I became more introverted, closed off, and this is all on me. And still, like, when I think of it now, I think, oh god, like, I hope they didn't think I was being rude, or like I really did love it, but at the time I was just so like timid and almost like kind of broken in a way. Like I just couldn't cope. It was all a bit like, oh god, like,
and the thing is as well, when you go through something like that, I kind of, I didn't go through that experience, but it's hard to show emotion. You just don't have any emotion when you go through that, because that's literally how I felt. It's just like lifeless, isn't it?
That's
nothing.
That's exactly it. And I didn't know how to explain it, but like my reactions are like, oh, and I did kind of cry out of happiness, but it was more like soulless crying. Whereas now, like, I would be so open and I would hug them, thank you so much, and I'd say to all of them, like, thank you so much personally, and I never got to say thank you personally to all of them, so if you're listening, thank you. But like, I just was in a different world, and I was trying, it's like trying to say thank you whilst you're high on every single drug and you're like in a completely different space and frame of mind. So my friends and family did react well, and they showed their love by doing things, and I was so blessed to have them, and I really appreciated that.
It's nice when, you know, you don't realise, I guess, how much people and how far people would go for you, because I realised that as well. There was like a few individuals where, you know, some people, like one of my friends and her parents, they pre-cooked meals for when I was in hospital. They pre-cooked meals and froze them, and then like literally came around with carrier bags and stuff. And it's just, you don't realise how far people would actually go for you, and it really opens up your eyes with who's true, and just I think it kind of opens up as well that there are some incredible people out there, and they're your friends, but then I feel like they are now like the ultimate friends.
Because you know in the toughest of times what they do for you. So it is a blessing. At a young age, like, it's tough. Cancer as a teenager is tough, you know, because your teenage years are definitely not what you expected them to be. But you have a life lesson from such a young age. Like, there was people at sixth form that never spoke to me again because they couldn't handle it. And that's fair enough. Like, I don't know how I would react. But like, it made me feel like I'd done something wrong. And then there was people that absolutely showed their true colours and were incredible, and were so understanding. And some people still don't understand it. Like, it means nothing to them. Like, when we even say we do this podcast, some people say, like, oh my god, I feel so passionate. And like, I met a really, really lovely girl like a month ago, and she was like, if you need any help ever with it, let me know, like, I'm so touched by it. And that just shows like friends and family support. And then some other people are just so distant from it because they've probably never experienced it, or they reject it because they don't want to. It's like when you start talking about it, you accept it, it's a reality. So if they reject it, it's just distant.
No, absolutely. I think as well, it kind of comes from not knowing how to react. One of my friends went through a really like crappy situation recently, And it kind of put me in a position where I felt useless. Like, what do I say? I don't know what to say. Is there anything that can make it better? There isn't. So how do I say? What do I say? And sometimes I just think sometimes the best thing to say is nothing. And I think that's like a huge thing for family and friends. Like, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything at all. And I think let the person speak about it when they want to speak about it. I mean, don't question people. Don't, try and say stuff to make them feel better. Just, let them be. Talk about whatever you want. But just reassure people that, you are there for them. And if they bring it up, so be it. But
I think that if we come to saying any points of advice, I think that's it. Like, judging the scenario, everyone is different. There isn't like a guide, like a rule book. Do this first, and secondly do this, because everyone reacts to their diagnosis differently. Private, expressive, all of these. I think it's just showing your compassion and kind of sympathy, love, all of those things, and just being there for them. So I would agree, like, sometimes you don't have to say much, or sometimes, like, I don't know, I'd just send them like slice of cake or something. I don't know, like little things like that, or like flowers, or not necessarily flowers, because that's a bit like I'm ill or I'm like the victim, but like, I don't know, if I knew one of my friends really loved a certain type of cake, I'd make it like homemade and just put it in a bit of tin foil and give it to her, or put it on her doorstep or something, and that's something that's really kind of lifting. So sometimes it's not saying much, it's just doing
actions. Would you say that, like, you being ill, has it opened up your friends' eyes? So obviously it must have done, because they created Beth's Army, and is there different ways that it has opened up their eyes, if you know of any?
I think my friends were quite mature anyway, so they had quite good heads on them, and one of my friends has experienced cancer close to home anyway, so I think they were really good with it because of the characters that they already are. But it definitely has affected my friendship group in terms of, I don't think that, or let's just say, I think if I didn't experience cancer, I probably would do different things with my life and probably spend time with different people because my perspective has changed. I feel like I now am a bit more picky, just in terms of, I know the value of life a bit more, as corny as that sounds, but before I didn't really think twice, and maybe I'd just do it because my friends want me to, or like, I'll just do it, whatever, whereas now, like, it's still so hard because sometimes I still reflect and I think I'm not doing things for me. Like, it doesn't make me happy or things like that. But it is a life lesson that makes you better at choosing friends, or better at choosing your time wisely. So I think I've learnt now, and not just in 2015 when I had cancer, but actually in the past year or so, to be a bit more selective. Because otherwise I just people please, like otherwise I'll just, the thing is, you don't actually have time for like loads and loads and loads of friends, so you end up neglecting the friends that are really good and true to you. So I just have had to learn to kind of pick my company,
top
pick
5.
my time. Applications are now open. No, but not in a harsh way or a arrogant way, not at all, but it just came to a point where I just thought, like, I've gone through a massive life-changing experience. I don't want to revert back to, like, not being the best me, or, like, wasting my time, or being negative to myself when I've just overcome a massive thing that's made me think, oh my God, I need to live my life now. Like, now I've battled so hard for it. So that's just how it is, you want to be a better version of yourself.
No, for sure. I agree. I think I'm the same. I think I'm more welcoming to people, and I'm interested in learning a lot about people and getting to know people. But I think I'm very selective when it comes to not who I choose to talk to, but
like really,
just,
really close.
because I think quite a few people, like, during my journey, I think a few people that I imagined would be there haven't been there. Don't get me wrong, they were, but I mean, I've lost friends along the way, and I think because of that, it's made me, very conscious about who I'm friends with, and it's interesting how it affects you. But also, I think me having cancer has rubbed off on a few of my friends in a positive way, because a few of my, or actually quite a few of my friends now, instead of just like going for a haircut, they grow it and then donate it to charity, or a few of them have registered on the Anthony Nolan donor, and they also like donate blood and stuff like that. So I think it's difficult when it comes to friends, because it can literally go to one side of the spectrum or the other side, and it's tricky. I think it's definitely one of the trickier parts about having cancer, for sure, minus the like away from treatment and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an ongoing thing as well. I don't think like it's more you know, when you return back to life after chemo and stuff, that's when your friends and family, like the dynamics still are changing. Now 4 years post chemo, my circle probably has only just kind of stuck now, like in terms of like who I know, my friends, and
same really, to be fair.
Yeah, so it's like it's a process, isn't it? It's returning back to the norm, or your now normal.
Yeah. So after we've like spoken a little bit about how we feel, I think it's only right that we actually hear from somebody that experienced being a friend. So we're going to speak to Beth's friend. Would you like to introduce her?
Yes. So this is my lovely, lovely friend I've been friends with for, like 10 years, 11, 12 years.
Wow, incredible.
Since we were about 10 or 11. And we became friends. We've never gone to the same school, but we became friends because we both sung and did kind of theatre. And despite long distance and all of that, it's been a great long distance relationship. Oh my god, we've survived through the long distance. But yeah, she's just someone that was there for me, and like I know whatever the circumstances, even in years' time, I'll be there for her, and vice versa, even if we don't talk for so long. So
beautiful.
Right, everybody, this is my lovely friend Kat.
Yeah.
Hi. So I'm introduced her a bit before. We've known each other for like over 10 years, haven't we now?
Many years.
We've had a long distance,
too much
romantic relationship. So we've never like been in the same school or anything like that, but I feel like we just
clicked.
Yeah, we just clicked, didn't we? That was the start of our budding romance.
How did Beth tell you that, you know, what was going on with her?
Yeah, I remember it so clearly. So this is such like a weird story, because she texted me like a week before we were meant to meet, and she was like, "Oh, I've got something to tell you. Can I see you this weekend?" And like in my head, this is genuinely what I thought. I thought she's going to tell me she has cancer. I don't know why I thought that.
Wow.
It's so weird.
No way.
Then,
I didn't even know that.
I told you this story.
No.
Yeah, so
Exclusive.
It was really like odd. It just came into my head. And then I was like, "Oh, like, can you not tell me now?" And you're like, "No, I'd rather talk to you about it in person." I was like, "Okay, fair enough." So then we like went to Costa, and I remember like exactly where we sat and everything. And then I just kind of wanted to hear the news straight away, because I was nervous and I had a feeling it was something like bad. I remember just being like, "Oh, can you tell me now?" And you were like, "No, let's have like a nice conversation." and then I'll tell you later. And I was like, "Okay." And it was like, "Okay, I think it's going to be something bad." And I remember you just said it, and I was like, well, like, it was so sad, and I was just shocked. Like, you don't know what to say, and I wanted to say something which was supportive. I could never say, "Oh, I understand," or like, because you know what, you can't, you can never understand. So I remember just wanting to do anything I could to help you, and like I was just like, if there's anything you need, please let me know. But you feel so helpless.
Yeah.
And I remember like every time I hear this certain song, like I've listened to this song on the bus home from that journey, and every time I'm hearing that, like I think of you, because it was like what I heard that day you told me.
Oh my god.
You got diagnosed. Yeah, King's years and years.
Oh, but that's really sweet. I didn't actually know that. But it's interesting how like even though you mentally thought it, as soon as it was actually said, it's just a different ball game entirely.
Yeah.
Like I think
it's a shock.
Yeah, like I think for me, like when I remember sitting there and being like, it's fine, but actually coming to say it, like, I just couldn't say it. Like it's a whole nother thing actually having to say it, even though I knew I had it. It was just even now I don't even like. I very rarely say it. I just dance around.
You don't think about it like people who are close to you, and people like you were one of my best friends, still are, and we were so young. I didn't know anyone else in my family who had cancer at that point, let alone one of my like young friends. So it was just so so sad.
Feels out of the blue.
How did you like deal with that? Because I suppose when somebody tells you that and you don't know anybody really that's your age that has had cancer, what are you supposed to say? Like I suppose because we've gone through it, we don't really know.
Like, I wouldn't know what to say.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think people think like we've got it together in terms of we'd be prepared. But like, it's just completely different. You can't compare cases.
No, I don't think you can ever know what to say, and I don't think there's ever a right answer, but I remember I just wanted to say, like, I'm here for you, and if you need to talk, then, like, please come to me. And I think it's just about being there for the person, and for me, all I wanted to do was to do something which made you smile, because I knew I couldn't take the cancer away. I knew I couldn't, like, say I understand completely how you feel, because that's not what you want to hear, because, like, no, you don't know how I feel at all. It's not comparable on any level. So I just wanted to do something where I was like, I just put a smile on her face and do something which is like meaningful for you.
Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh my god.
Friendship going on here.
This girl has the most beautiful heart and soul. Like, honestly, I don't tell you often enough, but you honestly like have the most pure, amazing heart, and I love it. I love you.
Tear up.
I feel like I'm third wheeling here, guys.
Leave us in private.
I'll just leave.
We go way back though, but we were saying just before you came on to speak that at times like this, you know who your true friends are in terms of the going gets tough, and it makes everyone face a challenge, and everyone reacts differently. And really, friends are great in the best times when you're celebrating birthdays and going out, but in the hardest of times, it's just as important. And I think it really highlighted who my true friends were, and like what they did for me, what you guys did for me.
Oh, I'm glad. We just wanted to do anything which like supported you, and I remember just brainstorming through so many different ideas, thinking, what can we do that will actually like make, because I just didn't want to, like, I brought you around like that little Costa bag, and I was like, it's not enough, like, I need to do something big.
No, but it's just gestures, like that's what we said. Gestures, they can be so small, they can be like a slice of cake or a letter or something that doesn't cost much, but if it's just thought that's put into it and the good right intentions, and that's just worth so much more.
No, it's true,
because everyone reacts differently. Sometimes, like, to be honest, I wanted to be left alone at times. The last thing I wanted was like
a party.
A party. Even though like a party would show like gestures and organisation and money spent, like I was just a bit like like, as you know, I was quite like distant. So even things like, I will leave you alone, I don't understand, but here you go, here's a nice something like that. It's like, that's really...
Is that the kind of approach you took to Beth's diagnosis and illness in general? Did you just kind of know she's there, like you're there for her, but just let her get on with it? And did you have to adapt to Beth in a certain way, like that, you know, it wasn't there before? So if she was too ill to go out, if she was tired and having to be more understanding, did you have to adapt in any way in that sense?
Well, I remember I do remember you being a bit closed off, and I remember one time when I came round and I came to surprise you. I think you've already mentioned this before on a previous story, and I remember like knocking on the door thinking, like, this will be so nice, like hopefully she's really happy to see me, it'll put a smile on her face. And I remember you opening the door without your wig on, and you got really panicked, and I was like, oh my god, I shouldn't have done this, like I shouldn't have just turned up suddenly. And then I remember being like, oh my god, no, like it's fine, you don't need to put on a wig, like I'm fully your best friend, you don't need to do that. And then I just remember sitting with you, and like you let me touch your head and things.
I can imagine that, me sitting there, and it was just like, does that feel nice?
I think it was important though, because you felt like comfortable around me. It's like, I felt like it was that first step to you thinking, right, okay, someone's seeing me, like one of my friends who's not my family or anything, and I feel like that was quite a big little step.
And I think like I really, really appreciated you turning up, but it was almost like I couldn't express it because I wasn't in this body. Like I hated this body, I couldn't control what was happening to this body, and I was as happy as I would be now. And like I said before, now I would literally hug you and be like, thank you so much, let's do it, and be so up for it. But it was like I was someone else in this body that was not me and couldn't do that. So I almost clammed up and was like, oh god, like I need to put something on my head, and oh god, like I look this way, and oh, you're not used to this, like it's the behind closed doors version of me.
I get that. I just wanted you to feel comfortable to be yourself around me and like not change and feel like you have to hide anything.
Would you, interestingly, would you give any advice to family and friends that are experiencing this as a loved one is going through cancer? Would you pass anything on?
I'd say you just need to be there to listen to the person, and I think such a big thing is never to say, I understand what you're going through, because I think that's such an awkward thing to say, because you can never put yourself in someone else's shoes, let alone who's going through something so big and such a life-changing event. And so I think just literally listening to the person and just asking like what they want to do, like don't suddenly do loads of things for them, because that may not be exactly what they want at all. So just see how they feel about the situation and what they want you to do, and just I think just be open, don't feel afraid to be like, how are you feeling about the whole situation and things like, and don't be afraid to say the word cancer, like it's a thing that should be spoken about. And I just think talking about it,
it's so true, like just saying, so how is it today, or like you can just be on their level, like so how are you actually feeling, or how is this drug going, or do you want to do something nice tonight, like or we'll just do something a bit more chilled, like
that's the important
it's
part,
not
I think.
put on like oh we're gonna go out,
we have to,
how are you, it's like actually being kind of real about it.
Yeah, exactly, I agree.
Oh, well, this is why you are going to become a doctor, my friend.
Hopefully if I pass the exam.
I'm sure you will, I'm sure you will.
You're amazing, thank you so much for speaking.
Thank you.
Excellent, you're very eloquent and very genuine as always, and thank you so much, I love you lots.
Thank you for having me, guys, and love you lots.
That's alright.
It's nice to speak to you as well.
Third wheel, sorry.
Third wheel, I promise I won't steal her too much.
It's alright, we can be friends of three, inclusive. So that was really nice from Katherine.
I know. You know what? Your friendship is so cute. It's the cutest thing I think I've witnessed.
Yeah, she is lovely. So that just shows like friends and family are affected massively and have their own coping strategy.
Yeah, and I really liked her spin on how she kind of thought about how she wanted to make you feel and didn't want to put pressure on you to, you know, be a certain way and constantly be asking you stuff to see if you're okay. She just wanted you to know that she was there, and I think in a way that's possibly like one of the best things that someone could do.
Yeah, she did really handle it fantastically. Like she just did gestures really, so I knew that she always cared and she'd always be there if I wanted to reach out to her, but it wasn't like a pressure that I felt, so that was really sweet. So next we're going to talk about another guest, and she goes by the name of Boweltastic on Instagram, and she's recently been diagnosed, and we'll leave it to her to explain her story and her background, but she is a bowel cancer patient and is documenting it avidly on Instagram and social media, and really creating a dialogue, which is so great to see. And when we said we were recording friends and family, she was really passionate about speaking on it.
That's cool. That's what we like.
So without further ado,
this is Max.
So thank you so much for being on our podcast today, and we're actually really excited because you are the first person that we have like had on our podcast that has actually had a completely different cancer to us as well. So it's really great. It's amazing. We're excited.
Bowel represent.
Yeah, you know it.
Oh, thank you. No, I wasn't. I've learned so much from the podcast about lymphoma and leukemia as well. So for me, I've learned a lot about different types of cancer, not just bowel cancer, and particularly because you guys were so young as well. It's a completely different experience to me. I mean, I'm 38. So I'm kind of edging towards the 40s, so not technically in the category of, although, in terms of bowel cancer, I am considered quite young. So I'm only one of, I think, 2,400 people in the UK diagnosed under the age of 50 with bowel cancer. Yeah, quite a small number compared to the majority, which is mostly over 90% is over the age of 50. In fact, quite a lot are in a huge proportion are in their 60s. So it's kind of like an old person's cancer, but for a young person, really. So it's quite it's quite, I suppose, unique in that sense.
What would you say, how did it affect your friends and family? First of all, just talking about you and yourself.
Yeah, my name's Mags and I'm 38 and I'm a mum of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I'm a single parent, and I was diagnosed in early January, on the 2nd of January, so not very long ago. And the symptoms I had were for around sort of 8 to 10 months. So all of the usual symptoms, so change in bowel habits, blood in stool, fatigue, and just put that down to kind of food intolerances and stress. Really, it was quite a lot of, I was going through a breakup at the time, so I put it down to stress. But I did go to the doctor, and I was thankfully, and I say thankfully because a lot of people do not have the same experience as me, had a very, very experienced GP who basically put me on, did the test, blood test and a stool test, and then put me on a kind of cancer pathway, a 2-week cancer pathway to have a colonoscopy, which is basically a camera up your back passage to basically inspect the whole of your large bowel.
Yeah.
And I had that on the 20th of December last year. They couldn't get past my tumour. It was 6.5 centimetres. It was quite obstructive.
Yeah.
So they couldn't inspect most of my bowel. And it was only then that obviously the growth was found, and it was suspected colorectal cancer. Then it wasn't actually, they didn't actually tell me until they obviously took the biopsy. And then 2 weeks later, I was told that there was a malignancy in the tumour. So literally within 10 days, I was then booked in to have a bowel resection, so to have the tumour removed. And that would be with like laparoscopic, so I had it through keyhole. Initially, I was staged at 3B, which is basically when the tumour has gone through the lining, is gone through some of the wall, has gone through some of the layers of the bowel, but it hasn't spread. So when I was diagnosed, they were like, the good thing is that it hasn't spread, and that is very good, but I was still in shock. Now I know how incredibly grateful I am that actually I had the surgery. They took the tumour, they took quite a lot of lymph nodes, about 48, I think. I had 2 slightly enlarged lymph nodes, and I knew that obviously if lymph nodes were impacted, that would be a risk of, I would probably need chemo. But basically the histology report came back saying that that they weren't found to be cancerous. So my surgery to remove the tumour was basically like curative. And I didn't need chemotherapy, so it was restaged as stage 2. But I think in terms of like friends and family, like anyone, it's like a cancer diagnosis has an impact on everything. Nobody wants this disease. People are scared of it. You associate, in the same way I did, you associated cancer with dying. And I think a lot of people were in shock. I was in shock. And my first thought when they told me was, I've never been separated from my children for like longer than like 1 night or 2 nights, and I knew that I would be in hospital for like up to 7 days. And I thought, oh my God, how, my nearly 6-year-old kind of understood, because I was going to the toilet a lot. So I was going to the toilet up to 12 times a day. So they were like they knew, like, Mummy, why are you going to the toilet again? So I was able to use that as an anchor to explain to them, Mummy's going to the toilet a lot because Mummy's got this growth in her tummy, and basically, this is the reason why the doctors are going to take it out, and I'm going to be in hospital. That I had the surgery, but unfortunately, I developed sepsis 48 hours later whilst I was in hospital, and what that meant was it was in the pelvis, so it's peritonitis, which was basically I had inflammation markers in my blood, but I didn't have a temperature, but I felt like my pain was off the Richter scale. It wasn't getting any better. And it was only when they saw the abscess in my drain bag that they were like, we need to get you back into theatre. And I was like, what? Like, I can't I can't, are you kidding me? Like, in the end, I was in hospital for 9 days. So, and I couldn't walk and I couldn't eat for 6 days. And I literally felt like awful. I felt just, it was awful. So I wasn't even well enough to see my kids. But my kind of, my overall, so I had my sister there in the hospital with me. And what was really hard was, there would be moments when I was in kind of recovery when I would be kind of myself, like cracking jokes, or, you know, being kind of, I mean, I was high on morphine, so I was just like, I was hilarious. And my sister would jump on those times when I was actually okay, and feel like, oh my God, like she's fine now, like everything's fine. And there was this kind of overwhelming feeling of wanting to fix things and wanting to kind of rescue you, and to not sit with your pain. So I think this is one of the things that is really, really hard, basically seeing someone suffering, which is often the case when you have cancer, right? You have treatment, you know, whether it's surgery or chemotherapy or radiotherapy or all the other kind of treatment options. Very often there are just horrible side effects, or there's, you know, things can go wrong with surgery, and we are just not very good at sitting with pain. We're not very good at it. We're not good at seeing someone suffer and not want to fix it. I mean, it's normal. It's a normal emotion, isn't it? It's a normal reaction to want to eliminate that pain. I think it's about the kind of I don't know if you guys have ever read this book. It's an Emily McDowell book. It's an amazing book, honestly. If I think it should be on the NHS, because it's like, give it to everyone who's got friends and family. And it's not even about people with cancer. It was anyone that's gone through something really, really tough. I've got it here actually. There is no good card for this. What to say and do when life is scary, awful, and unfair to people you love. And she talks about different types of non-listeners. One non-listener is called the sage, who is can't really listen to your pain. They have to give words of advice, or what they think is wise words. Or the optimist, which is, they can't really sit with your pain. They will offer optimistics, you know, the stay positive, you got to stay positive, and all of these things, because they want to be encouraging and optimistic. So I think my sister kind of fell into that bracket, really. But I kind of had to guide her, really, to be like, so some of the things, I mean, some of the things I could tell you that were hilarious. Somebody said to me when I told them I was diagnosed with cancer, I'll be fine, they just give you some antibiotics. And it was just like, you know, I hate to break this to you, but, you know, this is a bit of a bugger, and the antibiotics ain't gonna work. And then you know, I had people say like, oh, at least it's not stage 4. You know, there is merit in that and there is value in that, because I do feel that now. But I couldn't hear that at the time. I couldn't hear someone saying at least. And actually, if you start a conversation with at least, that is not a good way to kind of empathize with someone, because you're kind of dismissing what their real you know, concerns are, which is, bloody hell, I've got cancer and I really need to you know, to hear. I need someone to hear me, and for me to be seen.
Like, when you're ill, sometimes you don't need to receive life-changing advice, or people don't need to say anything extraordinary. You just need someone to listen, or someone to hear, and keeping it real. But us saying, or you saying, do you know what, I've just been diagnosed and this is the situation and I am terrified, or I have no idea what this means for me, or how will this change my life? And even ordinary things like, how will this change my kid's life in your case, or how will this affect our parents? These are just what is really going on in our mind and what needs to be discussed.
Because you have cancer, or had cancer, and you didn't have to have chemotherapy, so you haven't lost your hair. In a way, if somebody know you, saw you, you would look completely normal and fine.
Yeah.
Because you don't look like the cancer patient role, do you think your friends and family and people around you maybe like still treated you not differently?
Like, you mean there's a hierarchy of cancer. Basically,
Yeah,
you're at the top if you've had all of the treatment, you've lost your hair,
Yeah.
and then your cancer isn't quite as bad if you haven't had everything else. Like, I know what you mean.
And it
but you've
helps.
still had it at the end of the day, you know? So do you think that your family have coped differently because, and your friends have coped differently because you haven't, you know, lost your hair, you haven't had chemotherapy, you don't look like the cancer patient sort of thing, as opposed to going through the, you know?
I think basically now, because it's been, 2.5 months now, and I had an operation 3 weeks ago. So I had, so as a result of my second operation, I had a stoma bag. So I had an ileostomy and I had a stoma bag, which is when the small intestine is kind of pulled out of your stomach. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's basically a way, and then the waste. So basically, you don't poo out your bum anymore. The waste goes into a bag in your stomach. And so I had that after my second operation. I didn't have it with my first. But and I lost a lot. I lost a bit of weight, and I looked really, really unwell. So I looked and I had lost a lot of salt electrolytes, and I had so my stoma was really, really tricky, and I had a bag attached to my stomach. So I think because I was so unwell, I think people were like, oh my God, this is really, really serious. It wasn't like I just walked out of a hospital and was like, I'd made this kind of textbook recovery. I kind of didn't. Everything was delayed. So I'd had 2 operations in the space of 48 hours. And I couldn't eat and I couldn't walk. People who came to see me in the hospital, they said to me afterwards that they were really, really worried about me. But that was 2.5 months ago. And I've basically made, like, I would say, like, an amazing recovery since I had my stoma reversed. So it feels like everything has gone back to normal, in the sense of I still have my bowel function is still not 100%, and it won't probably be for even up to a year. But my energy has come back. I've started running again. I'm almost on the outside gone back to normal, inverted commas. And that's what I've absorbed. I think there's a relief with your friends and family. There's a relief because you feel like a burden, basically, when you're so ill and you can't do anything with your kids. Like, I had so much guilt from not being emotionally or even physically present for them. I felt so guilty. I felt like a failure, really, as a mum, because I was like, I can't. And as soon as you're able to do little things around the house, so once I was able to sort out my wardrobe, and I think my family were like, oh, she's better. Oh my God, she's better. She can do everything now. She can do this, she can do that. It was like, no, that took me so much effort to do. Still not 100%. I'm still not gone back to normal. And you also feel like a massive burden to people.
How do your kids feel about it? Like, they are feeling the effects inevitably. And how have they reacted? How have they coped? Has things changed for them?
They have done it really, really well. And I think one of the reasons is that I did a lot of work with them. So I did lots of books around mummies going to hospital, what to expect. I'm going to come out with bandages and I will have scars on my tummy. But they're basically making mummy better. So I did a lot of work with them before. So, like, bedtime stories. I mean, my nearly 3-year-old, he gets that mummy went to the hospital because I was ill, but he doesn't really understand bar that. But so I always keep the conversation open, and I don't talk about cancer all the time, but I do talk about the cancer as a word, because I want them to know what it means, and it's important. 1 in 2 people are going to get cancer in their lifetime. It also means that in terms of their risk when they're adults, their risk is slightly higher because of the fact that I was so young getting bowel cancer. So it has to be something that we have a conversation about throughout all of, like, our family life. I think every family is different, but I think for me, it was like, you know, I had a nearly 6-year-old who understood like what was going on. Like, and for me, I just needed to know her to know why I wasn't going to be there. But I think it really depends. There's lots of families that don't talk to, particularly if they've got maybe older kids. They don't maybe necessarily discuss it that openly until they need to, in the sense of, you know, if they're still doing kind of, you know, I mean, I somebody told me that that they, you know, when somebody I knew was having chemotherapy, they just told their 4-year-old that they were going on a work trip and stuff, and like that's right for their family, because 4 is a bit of a tricky age, you know. But one of the things that what all the research talks about is that, you know, when talking to your kids about cancer at whatever age, is that don't allow them to fill in the blanks themselves. It's really important that they have a coherent narrative about why you are not there, why you can't pick them up from school every single day like you used to, why can't you sit with them and have dinner or cook for them. They are going to put 2 and 2 together, and that might then have an impact on their behavior. So, but I tell you, there is nothing more difficult than talking to your own children about something that's affecting you.
So thank you so much. It was amazing, like hearing us.
If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at boweltastic, and it's just my journey and everything else, raising awareness as well about bowel cancer.
So that was Mags. She was really lovely. She was saying about her journey. It's a really recent one, so it was great to hear. And it looks completely different to our cancer. So she was diagnosed this year, hasn't had chemo, hasn't lost her hair, so it does look completely different. Yet the feelings aren't different, and family and friends involved still feel the same way. Like she was saying about her kids, and how she is having an open dialogue with them, and that's really the strategy that has been flagged up before when we spoke to Katherine as well, my friend.
It's just so bizarre to me, and it's just interesting as well that cancer it comes in so many forms, and it's just, you don't have to look like the normal cancer patient to have cancer. Yeah, everyone feels the same as well, and I just think that is a massive like eye-opener that people should seriously be aware of, because just because someone may say they have cancer but doesn't look the part, it doesn't mean anything any different. It's all...
But it's also the ripple effect that we're looking at, like in this episode specifically, the ripple effect of how friends and family feel is the same. She still had to say to her kids what's going on, why I'm in hospital.
I can't even imagine what it would be like telling your kids. Like, wow.
Yeah, and saying like from friends and family, you're brave, you're inspirational, all of that, it's still the same, despite the diagnosis being different and prognosis as well.
It's funny how everyone has a completely different story to tell, and that's why we're all so similar. I think that's basically everything done for today.
That's a wrap.
Wow.
So we hope you have gained a sense of perspective. Our aim was to have different voices showing different points of view. We couldn't do a friends and family episode without a few people winning it.
And you know what? I actually learnt a lot today as well.
Yeah, so did I. There was different points there. Like, showing your best efforts doesn't have to be a massive party, because that might actually be the opposite of someone wants. It can be the smallest things, just showing up on someone's doorstep, or a slice of cake, which I would love now.
Oh my god. Should we order cake after this?
Don't. But also like being specific to someone's actual circumstances. So it doesn't have to be the generic things that you see online. Just asking them how their day is, or how their stage is right now, or telling them something that's personal to them and could be said to someone else.
And I also think as well, if that person doesn't actually talk to you about their situation at all, don't mention it unless, you know, they start to bring it up themselves, because then that slowly shows that they're actually comfortable talking about it. Whereas if you constantly bring it up, they're just going to get fed up.
Yeah, but I'd also say, like, show your efforts.
Of
so
course.
You can just show gestures that almost symbolise, I'm here for you if you want to talk. But it's not like as
I'm forcing you to talk to me, you know. So that is literally concluding everything for today.
That's a wrap.
Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to check us out on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We always want people to get involved, and it's amazing because now, you know, we are constantly receiving messages that people want to get involved. So don't be afraid. If you want to speak to us, we are more than happy to have you. So,
interact. Like, we post stories all the time, almost daily or daily. And our posts are always up. So check us out and see what we're up to. You can find us on YouTube and iTunes mainly. So subscribe and do all of that lovely jazz.
Yes.
And we'll bring so much more content to you.
Yes, looking forward to it. So,
Thank you.
see you later.
See you later.
Bye.